Surviving in the extreme cold of 71 degrees C requires more than just wearing warm clothes. It demands careful planning, precision, and complete awareness of how the body interacts with each layer. In Yakutia, every winter, residents understand that clothing is not a matter of comfort. It is the first line of defense against a deadly environment. The process begins with layering, which is not random but deliberate and methodical. Thermal underwear clings to the skin, trapping the thin layer of warmth generated by the body. Over this, wool or fleece layers add insulation by holding pockets of air that prevent heat from escaping. On top of that, thick outer garments, often lined with fur or other insulating materials, shield the body from biting winds and the constant threat of frostbite. Every accessory has a purpose. Mittens are fur-lined to protect fingers, scarves cover the face and nose to prevent the lungs from freezing, and boots are designed to insulate the feet from the frozen ground. Even small mistakes, a zipper left open, a glove slightly loose, or a scarf poorly positioned, can allow cold to penetrate and lead to irreversible damage. Beyond merely putting on layers, the way each piece is worn and maintained matters. Clothing must be dry, properly fitted, and adjusted throughout the day, as sweat or moisture can drastically increase the risk of hypothermia. Residents of Yakutia have learned to move deliberately, minimizing exposure while maintaining warmth. Each step outside is calculated. Movement generates heat, but rushing can also lead to mistakes, exposing skin to frostbite or causing slips on ice. Protecting extremities is critical. Fingers, toes, and the tip of the nose are most vulnerable because blood flow is naturally reduced in these areas during extreme cold. Regular checks, adjustments, and awareness of numbness or tingling are part of a continuous process of monitoring one's own body. In addition to clothing, awareness of wind and weather patterns is essential. A gust can render even the warmest layers inadequate if it catches a gap in coverage. Residents often wear hoods, high collars, and face masks to shield themselves from wind chill, understanding that the effective temperature can drop dramatically below the actual thermometer reading. Over time, this careful attention to layering and clothing becomes instinctive. People develop a sense of which materials work best, how much insulation is required for different tasks, and when adjustments are necessary. Clothing is not just protection. It becomes an extension of the body, a mobile shield that allows movement, activity, and survival in conditions that would otherwise be fatal. In this environment, layering is a science, a ritual, and a daily responsibility. It is a discipline that separates those who survive from those who succumb to the cold. In Yakutia, understanding and respecting the role of clothing is the most fundamental step toward enduring one of the harshest climates on Earth, and it is a lesson learned through observation, experience, and unwavering attention to detail. In the extreme cold of 71 degrees C, food and hydration are far more than sources of energy. They are critical tools for survival. The human body burns calories at an accelerated rate in such temperatures, constantly working to maintain core warmth against an environment designed to strip heat away. Every meal becomes a calculated act, and every bite carries weight beyond mere sustenance. In Yakutia, preparation for winter begins long before the first snow falls. Families and individuals store nutrient-dense, high-calorie foods that can withstand freezing temperatures without spoiling. Street meats, frozen fish, preserved vegetables, and fats like reindeer tallow become staples, providing the concentrated energy required to fuel the body throughout the day. Food is rationed carefully. Consuming too little can lead to rapid energy depletion, reducing the body's ability to generate heat and slowing reflexes, while overeating can strain the digestive system and increase fatigue. Meals are timed to coincide with periods of activity, ensuring that energy is available when it is most needed. Whether tending fires, venturing outdoors, or performing essential household tasks, water presents an entirely different challenge. In such cold, it freezes almost instantly. So liquid water must be produced by melting snow or ice over a carefully tended fire. This process requires constant attention, because frozen water can leave the body dehydrated, compromising both physical and mental function. Even mild dehydration increases the risk of frostbite, reduces circulation, and hampers decision-making, all of which can have deadly consequences in this environment. Cooking itself is a delicate process. The fire must be maintained at just the right temperature. Too high, and fuel is wasted and food may burn. Too low, and water and meat remain frozen. Every step is performed with precision, as mistakes can affect the ability to eat, drink, and stay hydrated. The preparation and consumption of meals also serve a psychological purpose. In the isolation of the cold, eating it is not only about survival, it is a structured ritual that imposes order on otherwise harsh and unpredictable conditions. These routines provide a sense of control, discipline, and mental stability, which are as crucial to survival as warmth and calories. Over years of living in extreme cold, residents develop an instinctive understanding of what the body needs. They can sense when energy levels are dropping, when hydration is insufficient, and when adjustments to diet and water intake are required. They learn to balance macronutrients, carbohydrates for quick energy, fats for sustained heat, and proteins for tissue maintenance, to maximize the efficiency of every bite. In such conditions, food and water are not conveniences. They are lifelines. Mastering their use is a daily meticulous practice that ensures the body continues to function, the mind remains sharp, and survival remains possible. Without careful attention to nourishment and hydration, even the strongest individual could succumb to the cold, proving that in places like Yakutia, survival begins and ends with understanding and respecting the vital role of food and water. In Yakutia, where winter temperatures can plummet to 71 degrees C, shelters are far more than just places to sleep. They are vital instruments of survival. The cold is relentless, capable of freezing water instantly, cracking metal, and turning even the simplest task into a dangerous endeavor. Houses and cabins are meticulously designed and constructed to withstand these extremes, and their inhabitants treat every aspect of their shelters with unwavering attention. Insulation is the first line of defense. Walls are thick, often layered with specialized materials that trap heat while keeping the biting wind out. Windows are double or triple glazed, preventing warmth from escaping and minimizing the risk of frost forming on the glass. Doors are reinforced with multiple seals to ensure no gap allows cold air inside. Every structural element is monitored constantly because even the smallest weakness, a cracked window or warped door, or a gap in insulation, can turn a safe space into a deadly trap. Heating systems are the heart of these shelters. Whether fueled by wood, gas, or electricity, fires must be maintained carefully. Too little heat, and the interior temperature can drop dangerously low. Too much, and resources are wasted, or the structure itself can be damaged. Residents understand the precise balance needed to keep the environment both habitable and sustainable. Fuel management is equally critical. Wood or other heating materials are collected, stored, and rationed with extreme care. Exposure outside to gather fuel is a calculated risk, and every piece brought inside must be preserved for maximum efficiency. Beyond insulation and heating, daily maintenance is essential. Pipes are prone to freezing, so water systems must be monitored constantly, often requiring careful draining or insulation. Floors and walls are checked for frost buildup, and emergency measures are always in place to address unexpected failures. The organization of the interior is also purposeful. Rooms are arranged to maximize heat retention, with critical areas kept warmer for sleeping and food storage. Fireplaces or stoves are strategically located to distribute warmth efficiently, and ventilation is controlled to prevent heat loss while maintaining air quality. Mental preparedness is woven into the management of the shelter. Living in isolation within such extreme conditions demands that individuals remain vigilant, focused, and methodical. Every task, from adjusting the stove to stacking fuel, becomes part of a routine that protects both the body and the mind. Over time, these practices become instinctive, creating a sense of security and rhythm that contrasts sharply with the chaotic, unforgiving conditions outside. In Yakutia, the shelter is not merely a home. It is a lifeline. Its structure, warmth, and reliability are the foundation upon which survival depends. Residents treat it with reverence, recognizing that even the smallest lapse in maintenance or attention can have catastrophic consequences. The cold outside is relentless, but a well-prepared shelter transforms it from a deadly enemy into a manageable challenge. Survival in such extreme conditions is a constant balance between respecting the power of the environment and mastering the tools, routines, and structures that allow life to continue safely within it. In the extreme environment of Yakutia, surviving the cold is only part of the challenge. The isolation and loneliness that come with it pose an equally formidable threat. The frozen landscape stretches endlessly, barren and silent, offering no signs of human life for miles. For those living in these conditions, the absence of social contact is not just uncomfortable, it can be psychologically dangerous. In such isolation, the human mind begins to amplify its own thoughts, replaying memories, regrets, and imagined conversations repeatedly, creating a mental pressure that rivals the physical harshness outside. Outside, every sound, the crunch of snow underfoot, the groan of a settling building, or the distant whistle of the wind, becomes amplified, sometimes deceptive, and requires constant attention to differentiate between real threats and imagined ones. Residents of Yakutia develop routines not only to manage survival, but also to preserve their mental health. Structured tasks such as tending fires, preparing food, or checking equipment provide a sense of order in a world that offers little predictability. These tasks become anchors, grounding the mind and giving a purpose to each day. Speaking aloud, even if only to oneself, is another common strategy. Vocalizing thoughts breaks the silence, reinforces mental clarity, and helps stave off the creeping sense of despair that prolonged isolation can bring. Mental preparedness is as deliberate as physical preparation. Individuals anticipate periods of emotional strain, such as the darkest winter months when daylight is minimal, and actively engage in hobbies, reading, or communication through technology when possible. These practices help maintain a connection to the broader world, even when direct human interaction is impossible. Sleep, too, becomes a carefully managed activity. While the body naturally slows in extreme cold, extended sleep can leave a person vulnerable to hypothermia if the heating fails or the fire dies down. Many residents wake periodically to ensure both their physical safety and to provide mental stimulation, preventing the mind from falling into stagnant thought patterns. Over time, living in isolation fosters heightened self-awareness and resilience. Individuals learn to understand their emotional triggers, manage fear, and channel focus into practical survival strategies. The mind adapts, developing a form of self-reliance that is both necessary and empowering. Yet the loneliness is never completely overcome. It is a constant companion, a reminder of the harsh reality outside. What emerges is a delicate balance between solitude and engagement with daily life, between introspection and action. The ability to maintain this balance is crucial. In Yakutia, the most prepared individuals are those who recognize that mental endurance is inseparable from physical survival. The extreme cold tests the body, but it is the isolation that tests the mind, and managing both is essential for life to continue in one of the harshest environments on Earth. By respecting the challenges of solitude and actively shaping their routines and thoughts, residents survive not just physically, but mentally, mastering the silence and learning to live with it, rather than against it. Surviving in the extreme cold of Yakutia is not a matter of conquering nature, it is a matter of understanding, respecting, and adapting to it. The environment at 71 degrees C is relentless, indifferent, and unforgiving, punishing mistakes immediately and rewarding only those who are attentive and disciplined. Samoa and other residents understand that the key to survival is not to fight the cold, but to observe it, learn its rhythms and work within its limits. Every gust of wind, every drop in temperature, and every change in snow conditions carries information that must be acknowledged and acted upon. Ignoring these signals can lead to frostbite, hypothermia, or even death. This respect for nature shapes every decision. Before venturing outside, clothing, fire, and equipment are checked carefully. Routes are planned to minimize exposure, and contingency plans are considered in case conditions change suddenly. Even seemingly simple actions, such as gathering fuel, require careful timing and execution to ensure safety. The human body is treated with the same respect. In extreme cold, the body does not forgive neglect. Fingers, toes, and extremities are most vulnerable, and overexertion or improper protection can lead to rapid heat loss. Residents learn to listen to their bodies, recognize the first signs of danger, and adjust their actions accordingly. Energy is conserved, movements are deliberate, and every activity is calculated to maintain warmth and efficiency. Resources are managed with the same mindfulness. Food, water, and fuel are never taken for granted, and waste is minimized because each element is essential to survival. A single oversight can escalate quickly into a life-threatening situation, reinforcing the need for constant vigilance. Mental adaptation is equally important. The extreme environment tests patience, resilience, and focus. Distractions can be dangerous, as inattention can result in accidents, misjudgments, or exposure to the cold. Residents develop routines and habits that instill discipline, allowing them to function safely even when facing fatigue, isolation, or severe weather. Over time, this constant attentiveness and respect for nature becomes second nature. What begins as deliberate observation and careful planning evolves into instinctive behavior. The body and mind respond to environmental cues automatically, ensuring survival without the need for conscious effort at every moment. Respecting also brings a sense of harmony. By acknowledging the limits imposed by extreme cold, individuals can work within those boundaries rather than against them, turning survival from a struggle into a sustainable way of life. The cold ceases to be an enemy in the traditional sense. It becomes a force that commands attention, shapes routines, and fosters resilience. Ultimately, survival in Yakutia is a testament to the principle that humans do not triumph over nature by force, but by understanding and adaptation. Those who endure recognize the authority of the environment, honor its rules, and act in accordance with its rhythms. Life at 71 degrees C is unforgiving, but through respect, awareness, and careful adaptation, it is possible to live, and even thrive, in one of the harshest climates on Earth.